Tonight, we walk a corridor lit by patient candles. Keys whisper against iron, and old stone holds its breath. 7 doors wait, each guarding a quiet storm. Beneath Rome, where footsteps fade into stone, a legend sleeps. They say there is a vault the world will never tour, a hush within a hush where 7 treasures rest behind quiet doors. Not gold, not crowns, but objects that bend the inner world, relics of memory, language, time and soul. This is not a hunt. It is a lullaby of locks and light. We begin in medias res. A hidden staircase spirals down from a chapel floor. Your hand slides along cool marble. A lantern warms to life. The air smells of beeswax, paper and rain that never falls. A guardian nods. No words, only trust. You carry one purpose, to witness, not to take. These halls do not yield to force, they open to stillness. That is the rule under every rule. 7 doors, 7 breaths. At each threshold you pause, listen, and let your heartbeat slow. The treasures are said to be dangerous, not because they harm, but because they reveal. They return the mind to its first clarity, where prayer and physics share the same room. The church keeps them sealed, the story goes, to protect both seeker and street, to keep power from becoming noise. Tonight, you will not break a seal. You will borrow a rhythm. You will trace the circle of a key upon the air, place your palm on old wood, and feel a room remember you from before you were worried. Each treasure holds a lesson, on silence, on names, on time, on forgiveness, on light, on breath, on truth. We move softly, we keep our voice low, and as you drift, the doors will open not in the world above, but in the one within. Sleep is our passage, wonder is our guide. We go now, it begins without announcement. One moment you stand in the dim hush of a side chapel, the incense still lingering, the marble floor cold under your shoes. Then, almost without realizing, you find yourself moving toward a corner where the light seems to lean differently, where a shadow curves in an arc no one else seems to notice. Your hand brushes against stone, expecting the flat certainty of a wall, but instead you feel the slightest groove, an indentation where time has worn its patient mark. It is no wider than the slip of a finger, yet when pressed it shifts, groaning softly like the exhale of some ancient sleeper. The panel of marble slides, just enough to reveal a stair spiraling downward, steps carved smooth by generations who never left their names behind. The air that rises from below is cooler, tinged with the faint sweetness of beeswax candles long extinguished. A hush deeper than silence lingers, as though every sound has been folded inward, stored within the stones themselves. You take the first step. The stair curves, a corkscrew of pale stone, lit only by the glow of a lantern waiting on the wall. Its flame seems alive in an impossible way, steady though no hand tends it. Shadows lean and bend, climbing the walls in gestures older than language. You descend, the sound of your own breath echoing softly, as if the stairwell is reminding you of your own presence. Deeper still, the chapel above disappears from memory. The smell of wax grows stronger, mixed now with parchment and faint iron. Each step becomes a meditation. Heel, toe, breath. Heel, toe, breath. It feels less like walking and more like being drawn gently downward, as though gravity itself has softened into invitation. A shape emerges below, a small landing where the spiral gives way to a long corridor. Here the ceiling arches low, carved stone curving into itself like the inside of a ribcage. Along the walls rest alcoves filled with unlit candles. Their wicks are blackened, yet somehow they still radiate warmth, as if memory itself glows faintly within them. You pause, listening. No footsteps follow you, no voices whisper. Only the low hum of your own body moving through air older than your lineage. The corridor stretches into darkness, but your eyes catch on a faint light far ahead, a pulse of gold that flickers, waits, then flickers again. You step toward it, not out of curiosity, but because something within you recognizes the rhythm. Each stride is quieter than the last, as though the stones have agreed not to betray you. You notice the way your shoulders lower, the way your breath slows, the way even the thoughts that usually clamour for attention begin to dissolve into stillness. This place demands no questions. It simply asks you to walk. At last, you reach the end of the corridor. The golden glow comes from a basin filled with water. Floating upon its surface are several iron keys, each shaped differently, their edges softened by centuries of touch. The water does not ripple. It reflects the ceiling above as if it were a perfect mirror. You lean closer, and in the reflection you do not see yourself as you are, but as you were before memory began, something younger than time, older than fear. You realize now the stair was not a passage into stone, but into remembering. Each step downward peeled away noise, story, title, leaving you bare enough to stand before the first treasure. And as you breathe in the cool stillness of the vault, you know that the door to silence has already opened inside you. The first thing you notice is the smell, wax and honey, mingled with the faint smoke of extinguished wicks. The corridor beyond the stair glows with rows of candles placed in iron holders along the wall. None are burning, yet each carries a faint warmth when your hand hovers close, as if the flame of long ago still lingers inside the wax. You lean near one candle, curious, and find that the air around it hums with a soft vibration, barely audible, more felt than heard. It thrums in your chest like the last note of a hymn. The flame may be gone, but the memory of it sings. When you move to the next candle, the hum changes. Not louder, not softer, but different, shaped like a voice you almost recognize. You close your eyes. Suddenly the hum takes form, and you hear your name, whispered not by lips but by memory itself. It is not the name others call you, not the name written on documents, but the name beneath the name, the tone your soul has always answered to. The sensation brings a shiver. Each candle along the wall seems to carry such echoes. You pass another, and again the hum shifts, revealing a different whisper. Perhaps the name your grandmother once spoke in tenderness. Perhaps the childhood nickname that carried innocence. Perhaps a syllable never spoken aloud, yet known by your bones. These candles hold not light, but memory. They are said to remember every person who has walked here. Each wick burned once for a soul, and though the flame faded, the essence remained sealed within wax. To pause before them is to be remembered. To be acknowledged not by history or church or law, but by the vault itself. You walk slowly down the corridor, candle to candle, letting each hum brush against your heart. The experience is disarming, yet calming, as though every forgotten version of you is gathering in welcome. There is no judgment in their voices, no demand, only recognition. Halfway down, you stop. One candle glows faintly, not with flame, but with a soft golden ember within the wick. You reach out, feeling its warmth more directly. The hum rises, clear and unwavering, and you realize it is speaking not the name of who you were, but the name of who you are becoming. It is unfamiliar and yet entirely your own. For a moment, you are tempted to take the candle with you, but instinct tells you it must remain. To remove it would be to strip the corridor of its memory, to steal what was meant only to be shared. So you bow your head, honouring the whisper, and step onward. The row of candles ends at a wooden door bound with iron. Its surface is worn smooth by centuries of hands. The air here feels thicker, charged with expectancy. You understand that beyond this threshold waits the first of the treasures, but before you reach for the handle, you glance back at the line of candles stretching into the dark. Each flame you cannot see, each hum you cannot fully grasp, is a reminder you are not forgotten. The vault does not keep secrets to exclude, but to remember more deeply. With that knowing steady in your chest, you press your hand to the iron handle and push. The door yields with surprising ease. Beyond it lies a chamber not large, not grand, but dense with presence. Tall shelves line the walls, filled with scrolls, and bound volumes whose spines bear no titles. Dust floats in slow spirals through the lantern light, yet the room does not feel abandoned, it feels observed. At a wooden table near the centre sits a figure, hooded, cloaked in brown fabric. Their hands rest on an open book, though their head remains bowed. You wait for them to acknowledge you, but they do not look up. Instead, they lift one hand and gesture with deliberate slowness, a palm raised in greeting, then fingers spread as if to say, "Listen." You approach, the sound of your steps muted by the thick rug beneath. When you stand close, the figure finally raises their head. The hood shadows much of their face, but you see enough to know. Their mouth bears no tongue. The space is empty, a silence embodied. Yet the absence is not grotesque, not violent. It feels intentional, like a vow. This is the librarian without a tongue, guardian of the written relics, keeper of words who chose never to speak them aloud. Their voice exists only in the turning of pages. They gesture again, pointing to the book before them. Its pages are blank. You lean closer, and slowly, letters begin to rise, ink forming where none was before. The words are not written in any language you know, yet their meaning enters you directly, bypassing translation. They say, "Here, words live without being spoken. Here, language is protected from misuse. Here, silence carries the truth of every prayer never voiced." The librarian watches you, eyes calm but unyielding, as though weighing whether you are capable of holding silence. You realize this is the test, not whether you can read, but whether you can refrain from filling the air with needless sound. You close your eyes. You breathe once, twice. The silence grows heavier, yet it does not crush. Instead, it expands, filling you until the chatter of your own thoughts softens. When you open your eyes, the librarian nods, satisfied. They close the book, tie it with a ribbon, and slide it toward you, not to take, but to touch. You rest your fingers on the cover. At once, a calm steadiness flows through you, like a river running underground. You feel no urge to open the book again. It has already spoken everything it needed to. The librarian rises slowly. Without a word, they walk to the far wall and place a hand against the stone. A hidden panel shifts, revealing another door. They gesture for you to continue, then bow. No voice, no farewell, only silence as inheritance. As you step through the door, you glance back. The librarian has returned to the table, seated once more before blank pages that will never remain blank for long. The vault does not need voices. It needs keepers of stillness, and you understand that to move deeper, you must carry this silence within you like a key. The door closes behind you with a sigh, as though even the wood itself approves of silence. Ahead, the corridor widens, arching high into a ceiling painted in shadows. The air carries a dry sweetness, like old parchment left in sunlight. Along the walls hang carved reliefs, hands etched in stone, palms open, fingers arranged in shapes unfamiliar yet gentle. You slow your pace. Something in these carved gestures feels alive, as if each hand is frozen mid-movement, waiting for you to notice. You extend your own hand, tentatively mirroring one of the carvings. At once, a subtle warmth hums across your skin, as though you've pressed your palm against sunlight captured in stone. The air around you stirs, though no wind should exist here, deep beneath marble and earth. The rule of quiet hands is not written in books. It is written in your body. The carvings are a language without words, a grammar of gesture meant for those who choose to pass deeper into the vault. Here, words have no place. Sound is too blunt an instrument, too heavy to carry the fragile truth stored below. Hands alone speak the oath. You walk further, observing each relief. One shows two hands meeting at the fingertips, a shape like a gate. Another shows palms pressed together, not in prayer but in stillness. A third shows an open palm held low, as if offering without expectation. Each form conveys a lesson. Approach with care, stand in humility, give without demand. You realize this is not simply ritual, it is training. The vault is teaching you how to hold what waits ahead, how to touch treasures that cannot be touched. At the end of the corridor stands a pedestal. Upon it rests a bowl of water, clear as glass, its surface unbroken. Hovering above the water is a faint shimmer, like light passing through heat. You extend your hand once more, slowly, carefully. The shimmer responds, rippling outward as though acknowledging your presence. You sense that only with the quiet of your hands, steady, gentle, deliberate, will the next door open. You close your eyes. You let the chatter of impulse fade. Let your fingers soften. Let your palm become still as the water below. The shimmer brightens, then dissolves, and you hear the faint sound of iron shifting. A door nearby, hidden until now, unlocks itself. You withdraw your hand, bow lightly to the bowl, and step toward the waiting passage. The carvings watch silently, their stone fingers frozen mid-gesture, reminding you, in this place, power is not grasped but received. The passage opens into a round chamber. The ceiling rises into a dome, its apex vanishing into darkness, where the faint gleam of gold leaf catches what little light there island. Around the circular walls stand 7 doors, each carved of different wood, each bound in iron that glows faintly as though remembering fire. The air is thick, heavy with expectation. You can hear nothing of the world above, not even the echo of your own descent. Here, silence is complete, and yet beneath it hums a rhythm, a pulse that seems to align with your heartbeat. You walk slowly around the chamber, observing each door. The first is of oak, dark and knotted, its surface worn smooth by centuries of touch. The second is cedar, fragrant even in this airless place, etched with patterns resembling waves. The third is yew, black and polished, absorbing light like midnight water. The fourth is olive, pale and simple, unadorned. The fifth is chestnut, carved with spirals that seem to turn even when you stand still. The sixth is elm, its grain rising like rivers frozen mid-flow. The seventh is ash, pale and raw, bound in bands of gold instead of iron. You feel no pressure to choose. Instead, the air invites you to breathe, one breath for each door. You inhale slowly, exhale fully, then move to the next. Each breath carries with it a subtle shift. At the oak door, your breath feels weighted, grounding you in the earth. At the cedar, it lifts slightly, fragrant and expansive. At the yew, your breath slows, lengthening as though time itself bends. At the olive, peace spreads through your chest. At the chestnut, your breath spirals outward, carrying possibility. At the elm, the breath deepens, steady and sure. And at the ash, your breath stills entirely for one suspended moment, as though caught in eternity. By the 7th breath, your body is no longer hurried. The rhythm of the vault has become your own. You understand now. These are not 7 choices, not yet. They are 7 ways of breathing, 7 ways of aligning yourself to what waits within. You return to the center of the chamber. A single lantern glows faintly above, casting long shadows toward each door. The air seems to whisper, not in sound but in sensation. The doors do not open by force. They open when your breath matches their rhythm. You close your eyes, inhale deeply, exhale softly. Around you, the faint groan of iron responds. Somewhere in the circle, a lock begins to yield. You do not yet know which door has opened. That is not the point. What matters is that you have remembered how to breathe as the vault breathes. 7 doors, 7 breaths. The path is not chosen. It is revealed. You follow the faint sound of iron easing into silence, and there, near the olive door, you find the shimmer of light on a small table. Upon it rests a simple clay bowl filled with water, so still it seems like glass. Resting within the bowl are several iron keys. their handles shaped in unfamiliar patterns: circles, triangles, spirals, and knots. Each key lies perfectly balanced, suspended at the surface, though they should sink by weight alone. The bowl itself is unremarkable, chipped at the rim, worn from long use, yet the water within it feels alive. Its surface reflects not the ceiling above, but a sky one you have never seen. Stars glimmer faintly in its depths, constellations bending into shapes unknown to your memory. You lean closer, and the constellations shift, aligning with your breath. A soft impulse rises within you, to reach in, to choose. But the vault does not allow hurried hands. You remember the rule of quiet hands, the lesson carved into stone. To touch without grasping, to choose without desire. You sit before the bowl, breathing slowly. With each inhale, the surface of the water quivers, rippling outward. With each exhale, it stills again, the keys shimmering faintly beneath starlight. Your mind drifts into calm. The urge to decide fades. Instead, you wait. Minutes pass, or perhaps hours. Time is slippery here, bending around breath. At last, one key rises gently from the surface, lifting as though carried by invisible threads. Water clings to its edges, dripping in silver arcs back into the bowl. The key hovers before you, then settles softly into your open palm. It is warm, despite the coolness of the water. Its weight feels less like iron and more like memory. You examine the handle. It is shaped into a spiral, simple yet endless, curling inward toward a center that cannot be reached. The symbol feels familiar, though you cannot name why. You sense it is not a choice you made. It is the vault that chose. The spiral key belongs to you, or perhaps you belong to it. You stand, the key resting in your hand. The olive door before you glows faintly, iron bands softening as if melted by unseen flame. You press the key into its lock, and the spiral turns smoothly, as though it has been waiting centuries for your touch. The door creaks open, revealing darkness beyond. Yet it is not an empty darkness. It is fertile, humming, a silence ready to bloom. You step forward, the key still warm in your hand. Behind you, the bowl of water ripples once, then stills, stars fading back into hidden constellations. As you cross the threshold, you realize the vault has been guiding you, not with force, but with breath, with silence, with patience. You have not chosen the path has chosen you. And in your hand, the spiral key turns once more, pulsing gently like a heart. The olive door closes behind you, with the sound of wood sinking into water. Darkness enfolds, rich and complete, yet not empty. You stand still, your hand still wrapped around the spiral key, its metal pulsing faintly like a heartbeat in your palm. The silence here is not absence, it is invitation, the kind of hush that waits for your willingness to hear. You take a step forward. The floor is smooth stone, cool beneath your soles, and as you walk, you sense the space widening into a chamber larger than you first imagined. The air is thick with fragrant beeswax, faint smoke, and something else, the damp sweetness of soil after rain. Somewhere nearby, a sound arises, not loud, barely perceptible. The echo of a whisper repeated over itself, until it no longer sounds like words, but like breath given shape. You stop. The whisper ceases. The chamber itself is listening. In this place, you are not permitted to speak first. Words here are not currency, not tools, not weapons. They are sacred fire, and only when invited may you carry flame. The oath begins not with speaking, but with listening. You close your eyes and let your breath fall into rhythm. Slowly, with patience, you hear it. Not one whisper, but many, layered like threads in a loom. Some are near, some so far they sound like echoes from another lifetime. They are not telling stories, they are not giving commands, they are remembering. The chamber holds every voice that has ever passed through it, and each waits for your stillness to let them surface. The first voice comes like a breeze against your skin. It is not in language, yet you understand. Do not rush the silence. It is older than you. The second voice comes softer, from somewhere behind you. Let your ears grow roots. Let them dig downward, past sound, into the soil of knowing. The third arrives within your own chest. Do not answer. Do not prepare. Do not rehearse. Simply let us move through you as wind through reeds. Your throat aches with the instinct to speak, to affirm, to respond, but you remember the librarian without a tongue, the vow of words withheld, the sacred refusal to shatter silence. You hold your breath, steady yourself, and allow the voices to pass through without clutching at them. Time dilates. Minutes or hours, you cannot know. Then the whispers converge into one sound, a low tone that vibrates the chamber like a bell struck in the heart of stone. The tone enters your chest, and for a moment you feel hollowed, emptied of self. In that hollow space, clarity blooms, the oath of the listener. You understand without words. From this night forward, every sound you hear must be honoured, not judged, not twisted, not consumed for advantage, but honoured, carried, remembered. Listening is not passive. It is a vow, a discipline sharper than any blade. The chamber exhales. A glow spreads slowly across the far wall, revealing a door framed in carved olive branches. The spiral key in your palm grows warm again. You know you have been accepted. Before leaving, you bow your head into the silence. Not as obedience, not as ritual, but as acknowledgement. You will not betray the oath. The door opens, and you step forward, carrying with you a new weight, not heavy, but steady the weight of every voice you will hear from this night on. Beyond the olive-framed door lies a chamber unlike any you've entered so far. The air is neither heavy nor dense, but feather-light, as though it had been filtered through centuries of prayer. At the centre of the room rests a pedestal of black stone, its surface polished to a mirror sheen. Upon it lies an object no larger than your hand, a compass. At first glance, it resembles any other. A brass circle, glass cover, needle suspended within. But when you lean closer, you see the needle does not spin toward north. In fact, it does not point toward direction at all. It trembles faintly, wavering as if unsure. Only when you step closer does it steady, yet not toward a cardinal point, but toward the quietest place within the room. You test it. You move toward one wall, your steps echoing. The needle flickers, shifting slightly away. You step back, stilling yourself, slowing your breath. The needle steadies, pointing not to stone or corner, but to the silence you carry within yourself. The compass of silence does not orient by earth or sky. It orients by the stillness of your own being. You stand before it, trying again. You inhale sharply, your breath loud in your ears. The needle quivers wildly. You exhale slowly, evenly, until even the sound of your breathing dissolves into the chamber's hush. The needle slides, then steadies, glowing faintly as though satisfied. The compass is not an object of navigation, but of discipline. It reminds you that direction cannot be found in noise. True guidance emerges only in silence. The more frantic your heart, the more the needle spins. The calmer your breath, the clearer the path becomes. As you watch, the glass cover fogs with condensation, though the air is dry. Letters appear across its surface, written as though by invisible hand. The loud are lost. The quiet find the way. Your chest tightens, not in fear, but in recognition. You think of every time you rushed an answer, every time you filled silence with words to mask your uncertainty, every time you drowned out the quiet that might have revealed the truth. The compass reveals what you have always known but rarely practiced. Stillness is the truest map. You place your hand over the glass. The fogged letters vanish, absorbed into your skin. The compass needle steadies once more, pointing directly into your heart. Then the brass circle dissolves into light, sinking through your palm until nothing remains but a faint warmth where it had rested. The treasure is not taken. It is carried within you now. The pedestal hums once, then falls silent. The chamber grows darker, and in the distance, another door emerges from the shadow. You walk toward it slowly, aware that the compass will remain with you always, though unseen. Each breath from now on will reveal your true north, if you are quiet enough to notice. The new door opens onto a smaller chamber, circular and plain. No pedestals, no shelves, no carvings. Only stone walls and a floor worn smooth. In the centre lies a mat of woven reed, unrolled as if awaiting you. You step forward and kneel upon it, the silence pressing against your skin. For a long time, nothing happens. You sit with folded legs, the spiral key cool in your hand, the memory of the compass still pulsing faintly in your chest. The silence is not oppressive. It is vast, like a sky without clouds. Yet within it, you sense something unfinished. You lower your head, letting your breath fall into rhythm. The silence thickens. Then, from the walls, you hear it, the faintest echo of your own voice. Not your present voice, but voices from your past, times you spoke in haste, times you broke silence needlessly, times you wounded with careless words. The chamber is showing you the cost of noise. One by one, these echoes rise and fade. Some sting with regret, others simply dissolve into air. You do not chase them, you let them pass, like birds crossing a grey sky. At last, the chamber grows quiet again. Then a new sound arises, not an echo, but a harmony. Soft, resonant, it emerges not from the walls, but from your own chest. The compass within you sings. Not with words, not with melody, but with the tone of recognition. You are no longer a visitor to silence. You are a keeper of it. The walls of the chamber glow faintly, revealing a series of 7 arches. Only one glows brighter than the rest. You understand, the compass has chosen your next path. Not north, not south, not east, not west, but the way of silence leading deeper. You rise, bow lightly to the mat, and step through the glowing arch. Behind you, the chamber dims, the echoes of your former words dissolving forever into stone. Ahead lies the path of the listener, the silence within, and the next treasure waiting to be revealed. The arch behind you fades, dissolving back into stone as if it never existed. Ahead stretches a corridor where the very air feels different, thick, cushioned, muffled, as though every sound you carry is swallowed before it leaves your lips. You take a cautious step, expecting your footfall to echo, but it doesn't. The sound vanishes instantly, absorbed into walls lined with soft grey felt, ancient and seamless. The corridor curves gently. Each time you move, silence presses closer, wrapping you like a second skin. Even the faint beat of your heart feels muted, as though the air refuses to amplify anything unnecessary. It is not oppressive. This quiet, it is dense, textured, a silence you can almost touch. You raise your hand and graze the wall. The felt is warm, vibrating faintly, as if it remembers every word ever spoken here and has decided to keep them. You reach a door at the end of the hall. Unlike the others you've seen, this one has no handle, no iron binding, no obvious lock. It appears to be a slab of wood, thick and heavy, yet its surface is strangely soft, like layers of cloth pressed together for centuries. You place your ear against it. What you hear is not emptiness, but layered whispers. They aren't clear. They overlap, rise and fall, speaking in languages you don't know yet understand without translation. The door itself is made of voices compressed into stillness until they became one material. Your spiral key pulses in your hand. You hold it up, uncertain, but instead of inserting it anywhere, you press it against the felt. The door sighs, the whispers fall silent. And slowly, without hinges creaking or locks turning, the felt dissolves into mist, parting before you like fabric cut by invisible shears. You step through, and immediately the sensation changes. The air is lighter, freer, yet still profoundly calm. Behind you, the mist seals again, leaving no trace of the door. Ahead lies a chamber that glows faintly with golden light. At its centre sits an object on a stone pedestal, a compass, similar to the one you saw before, but larger, nearly the span of both your hands. Its needle trembles faintly, then steadies, pointing not to north or south, but toward you. Not your body, not your mind, but toward the stillness you are learning to carry. The chamber hums softly, like the sound of a hive in deep slumber. You understand, this is the threshold to the first treasure. The door of felted sound has not only admitted you, it has reshaped you, teaching you to walk without leaving noise behind. The silence is no longer absence. It is now a presence, a living entity that acknowledges you as its guest. You bow slightly, honouring the invisible choir that built the door from their whispers. Then you step forward to face the compass, and the room brightens, as though ready to reveal its truth. The light in the compass chamber slowly dims, guiding you toward a narrow passage at the far wall. You follow it, moving deeper into stone that seems to breathe with each step. At the end of the passage lies another chamber, smaller than the last, lined with shelves carved directly from the walls. Upon these shelves rest books and scrolls, thousands of them, their bindings worn but intact. The air smells of ink and old leather, sweet with dust and memory. A table stands in the centre, and upon it rests a single book larger than all the others. Its cover is plain, bound in dark hide, unmarked by title or symbol. As you approach, the pages flutter, though no breeze stirs them. The book is waiting. You place your hands gently on the cover. The material is warm, pliant, as though alive. Slowly, the book opens by itself, revealing blank pages. At first, they remain empty, but as you lean closer, letters begin to rise, not written by pen or pressed by hand, but emerging, like breath crystallizing in cold air. The words are not in a language you know, yet you understand them instantly. They tell not stories of saints or kings, not laws or doctrines, they tell you. They recount the first time you held silence as a child, sitting alone by a river and noticing the way water folded around stones. They reveal the moments you spoke too quickly and hurt someone without meaning to. They show the nights you longed to say more, but chose to remain quiet, and how those unspoken words still ripple in your heart. The book is reading you. Every page is a mirror. Every line is a reflection. It does not accuse, nor does it praise. It simply records, revealing what already lives inside you. You turn a page. It shows you not the past, but the present. Your breath slows across the words, and they rearrange themselves, becoming an image of your lungs expanding, contracting, expanding again. The book sees you in this exact moment, not as you imagine yourself, but as you are. You turn another page. This time, the words dissolve into light, and within that light, you glimpse yourself as you might become, steady, unhurried, a keeper of silence who carries calm wherever you go. The vision is not prophecy, it is possibility, one that emerges only if you continue to honour the oath of the listener. The book closes suddenly, but gently, as though concluding its work. On the cover, letters appear where none existed before. They spell a single name, not the name others call you, not the one you have worn through years of living. It is the name that belongs to your truest self, the one beneath all roles and masks. You whisper it softly. The sound disappears immediately, absorbed by the chamber walls, yet the act of speaking it changes something within you. The name belongs not to your ego but to your essence, and speaking it aloud is less a declaration than a remembrance. The shelves around you hum faintly. The scrolls and volumes tremble, then still, as though acknowledging your presence, you have been recognized. The great book fades into light and vanishes, leaving only the memory of the pages it revealed. You understand now, knowledge in this place is not something you collect. It is something that collects you. The pages will not be carried in your hand, but in your being, etched deeper than ink. Another door reveals itself, half hidden in the stone wall. You move toward it, heart steady, breath calm. You carry with you the truth that every page of your life is still being written, not by chance, but by the silence you choose to honor. The hidden door leads into a chamber shaped like a circle, its walls smooth and bare. In the center stands a single mirror, tall and narrow, framed in wood darkened by centuries of touch. The mirror does not reflect light. At first glance, it reflects nothing at all. You step closer, expecting your image, but the glass remains black, empty. Only when you place your hand upon the surface does it begin to stir. Shapes emerge faintly, not your present self, but echoes of who you have been. You see the child who once laughed freely before names and titles weighed upon you. You see the adolescent who longed to belong, shaping their voice to fit the chorus around them. You see the adult who wore masks for safety, bending truth into something palatable. Each image flickers, then dissolves. The mirror is not showing vanity, it is showing memory. The names you were given, the ones you chose, the ones whispered to you in secret, they are here, layered like sediment in stone. Each carries weight, and each has shaped the way you walk. Your spiral key glows faintly in your hand. The mirror responds, rippling as though it were water. From within its depths, letters begin to rise, forming slowly, carefully, as though the mirror itself struggles to remember. The letters shape a word, a name, the name you carried before any other. You speak it softly, and at once the mirror blazes with light. It is not blinding, but enveloping, surrounding you in warmth. The chamber resonates with a hum so deep it shakes your bones. You realize this is not simply recollection, this is recognition. The vault knows you now, not as the sum of roles and labels, but as the essence that existed before them all. Tears sting your eyes, though you are not sad. The recognition feels like coming home to a place you had forgotten you built. The name vibrates within your chest, aligning you with something steady, timeless, eternal. The mirror dims, returning to black glass. But you do not need to look again. The name is etched into you now, deeper than thought, deeper than memory. It is the compass you will carry forward, a truth unshaken by noise or time. Behind the mirror, a seam opens in the stone, revealing another passage. The air that flows through it is cool, fragrant with cedar. The way forward has revealed itself, not because you demanded it, but because you remembered what was already yours. You step through the seam, leaving the mirror behind. The silence follows, carrying your true name like a flame that will never burn out. And with each step, you feel lighter, not because you have become less, but because you have finally returned to what you were before the world forgot to listen. The cedar-scented passage winds slowly downward, each step soft as though cushioned by unseen hands. You notice something strange. Your pace feels suspended, like you are moving without distance, walking, yet not arriving. Time seems to loosen, threads slipping through your grasp. At last, the passage opens into a round chamber lit by a dim, golden glow. The light does not come from torches or lamps, but from the walls themselves, as though the stone has swallowed centuries of dawn and now releases them in a soft breath. In the centre stands a pedestal. Upon it rests an hourglass, taller than your arm, its frame wrought of iron wound into shapes that resemble vines, roots, rivers, endless curves of growth. You step closer. The hourglass contains no ordinary sand. Instead, fine grains hover suspended in mid-air, frozen between the two glass bulbs. Some grains seem to fall, yet never reach the bottom. Others float upward against gravity's pull. You cannot tell if time is moving forward, backward, or not at all. You place your hand upon the glass. The grains respond, beginning to stir. For a moment they descend like snow in still air, drifting slowly, lazily. Then they stop again, hanging between motion and stillness. In that pause, you feel something open within your chest. A vast, quiet stretches before you, wider than silence, deeper than breath. It is the hour between moments. Here, time is not measured by clocks or stars. It is measured by presence. When you let your thoughts scatter, the grains twitch wildly, rushing and colliding. When you steady yourself, the grains drift back into stillness, patient and serene. The hourglass responds to the quality of your attention. You kneel before it, breathing evenly. The grains settle. A warmth spreads through your body, calming every restless current inside you. You realize how much of your life has been driven by urgency, deadlines, expectations, rushing toward the next thing. But here, there is no next thing, only this, only now, stretched wide as eternity. Your spiral key glows faintly in your palm, pulsing in rhythm with the grains. A whisper arises, not from the walls, not from the air, but from within your own stillness. Time is not your master. It is your mirror. Look into it only when you are calm, and it will reveal the path. You bow your head, gratitude welling in your chest. The hourglass does not need to be taken. It has already given its gift. You stand, steady, and notice a door appearing, where before there was only smooth stone. Its edges glow faintly, waiting. You step toward it slowly, carrying the stillness of the hour between moments with you. And as the door opens, you realize you no longer walk through time as you once did. Time now walks with you, following the rhythm of your breath. The door carries you into a narrow hallway, lined with faintly glowing symbols etched into the walls. The markings swirl like currents of wind, abstract yet alive, shifting as though they inhale and exhale. Each step forward feels accompanied by a slow, steady rhythm, like a giant heartbeat thrumming through stone. At the end of the hall lies another chamber, smaller, intimate. The air is cool, fragrant with a hint of pine, like a forest at dawn. In the centre rests a low platform, upon which lies a simple cushion. Nothing else. No books, no relics, no treasure, only space, prepared for you. You sit upon the cushion, cross-legged, your back straight. At once, the air thickens, urging you into stillness. You close your eyes, letting your breath rise and fall naturally. At first, it feels ordinary inhale, exhale. But then something begins to shift. Each inhale grows wider, stretching seconds open like fabric pulled taut. Each exhale lengthens, flowing out as though it could dissolve the entire weight of your being. You notice time itself responding. The chamber grows quiet beyond quiet. The beat of your heart slows, yet it does not weaken. Instead, it strengthens, each pulse echoing like a drum in an empty valley. A vision stirs. You see yourself standing in the rush of ordinary life, crowds moving quickly, bells ringing, voices colliding. But around you, everything slows. People move like rivers of honey. Voices stretch into echoes, and you alone breathe freely, steady as the sea. You are no longer caught in the storm of urgency. You are the calm, at its centre. The spiral key warms in your palm. The vision fades, but the lesson remains. Breath is not simply air, it is the lever of time. Breathe shallow and rushed, and time races. Breathe deep and steady, and seconds widen into eternity. A soft glow rises from the walls, illuminating words etched into the stone. Count 4 in, count 6 out. The world will follow your breath. You try it. 4 steady beats to inhale, 6 slow beats to release. At once, the chamber expands. Space feels larger, lighter, timeless. You understand now why the ancients called breath the bridge between worlds. Through it, you step outside the tyranny of clocks and into the freedom of being. When you open your eyes, another door has appeared. Its edges shimmer like dawn breaking across the horizon. You rise slowly, not rushing, carrying the calm rhythm of breath with you. As you step through, you know that time no longer controls you. You carry within you the ability to widen every moment, to stretch every heartbeat into forever. The new passage leads into a chamber unlike the others, warmer, more familiar. It feels less like stone carved in secret and more like the heart of a home. The air is thick with the scent of fresh bread, yeast rising, crust crisping in unseen ovens. The warmth settles on your skin, comforting, grounding. At the far side of the chamber stands a long wooden table. Upon it rests loaves of bread, golden and steaming, their fragrance so vivid you can almost taste it. Behind the table, a figure waits. Not cloaked, not shadowed, but plain and simple. A baker, hands dusted with flour, face lined with years of rising early and working late. He does not speak. Instead, he gestures to the loaves, inviting you to take one. You step forward, uncertain, and lift a piece. It is warm, soft, alive. When you bite, the crust cracks gently, and flavor fills your mouth, simple, nourishing, complete. As you eat, the baker watches with calm eyes. You understand that this is no ordinary bread. Each bite carries a rhythm, patience kneaded into dough, rest woven into rise, transformation sealed in fire. The bread is a story of time itself, not rushed, not forced, but allowed to unfold in its own perfect rhythm. The baker finally speaks, his voice low and steady. Bread does not rise when commanded, it rises when given space. So it is with your life. Do not rush the rising, do not starve the silence. Trust the unseen work beneath the surface. You bow your head, the taste of bread still on your tongue, the lesson heavy and light all at once. The baker steps aside, revealing another doorway behind him. Its frame glows faintly, like the first rays of dawn spilling over a horizon. You realize the baker is not just a figure, but a parable embodied. His bread teaches what the hourglass showed, that growth comes not from rushing, but from resting, not from command, but from patience. You thank him silently, place the remaining bread gently back upon the table, and step toward the doorway. The warmth follows you as you pass through, carrying with it the memory of dawn, of patience, of bread that rises in its own time. Behind you, the scent fades. Ahead lies a new silence, waiting to be heard. And within you, something steadier grows, the unshakable knowledge that all things, if trusted, will rise in their season. The doorway from the baker's chamber carries you into a darker corridor, the warmth of bread fading until only cool stone remains. The air shifts again. It grows heavier, not unpleasant, but dense, as though each breath you take must pass through centuries before reaching your lungs. The corridor is lined with tall pillars, carved directly from the rock. Upon each pillar rests a single carved face, mouths open but silent, as if waiting to exhale a truth they once carried. You walk slowly, your footsteps absorbed into the thick hush. With each step, you feel the air pulse gently, as if the stone itself is breathing. You pause before one of the carved faces, leaning close. For a moment, you think you hear your own breath echoing back at you, but no, it is not echo, it is memory. The stone exhales the breath of those who stood here long before. The realization humbles you. Every breath ever released into this chamber still lingers, absorbed by stone, stored like sacred offerings. You breathe again, deeper this time, and feel the walls shiver faintly, as though acknowledging your contribution. Your breath too will be kept, remembered, woven into the endless rhythm that binds the living with the dead. At the end of the corridor stands a vast stone door, carved with countless spirals. In its center is a hollow circle, as though waiting for something unseen. You lift the spiral key, and at once the circle brightens, pulsing in time with your inhale and exhale. The door does not demand force, it demands rhythm. You place your hand upon the stone and breathe steadily. Inhale, the spirals glow. Exhale, the stone softens. Again, inhale, exhale. Slowly, the great door dissolves into mist, releasing a draught of air so ancient it carries the scent of caves untouched since the first fire. You step through, entering a chamber vast as a cathedral, yet entirely silent. In its center stands a single relic, a fragment of stone carved into the shape of lungs. Veins of quartz shimmer faintly within, glowing with the pulse of life. You approach reverently, your body instinctively slowing, your breath becoming gentle and full. When you lay your hand upon the stone lungs, your breath deepens beyond anything you have known. Air flows into you like water into a desert, filling every hollow space, nourishing every forgotten corner. For the first time, you realize breath is not something you take, it is something you receive. A voice stirs, not from outside, but from within your chest. As stone remembers breath, so must you remember the breaths you leave behind. Breathe not as one rushing to consume, but as one gifting eternity. Each inhale joins you to all that has been. Each exhale leaves a trace that will outlive you. Tears gather unbidden in your eyes. You kneel before the relic, offering 3 deliberate breaths, one for the past, one for the present, one for the future. The quartz veins glow brighter, then fade, as if the relic has accepted your gift. When you rise, another passage appears, lit faintly by veins of light running through the stone walls. You step forward, lungs steady, heart aligned with the ancient rhythm of the vault. You carry within you the awareness that every breath is sacred, each one etched forever into the living memory of the world. The new passage narrows, and the air grows strangely vibrant, not loud, not filled with sound, but vibrating with potential, like a string stretched tight, waiting for a bow. You feel it first in your bones, a hum beneath the skin. The corridor opens suddenly into a vast amphitheatre carved into the rock. Rows of stone benches rise in perfect arcs, empty yet alive with presence. At the centre stands a low dais, illuminated by unseen light. The chamber is silent, yet you know it is a place where voices once gathered. You can almost see them, monks, seekers, wanderers, all seated in stillness, their breaths aligned, their silence more powerful than any song. You step onto the dais. The hum in your bones grows louder, though still without sound. You understand, this is the choir without voices. Here, silence is not emptiness, it is harmony. Each person who ever sat here contributed not notes, but stillness, and together their stillness became music. You close your eyes and breathe. The silence deepens, swelling like an unseen tide. Then it happens. You hear it, not with your ears, but with your whole being. A resonance surrounds you, woven from centuries of unspoken prayers, from countless moments of held breath. It is music without pitch, song without words, a choir of those who chose silence as their hymn. You feel yourself joining them. Each breath you take becomes a note in the unspoken symphony. Each exhale extends the harmony, blending with echoes you cannot see. For a moment, you are no longer yourself, but part of something vast, a chorus carried not by sound, but by presence. The spiral key warms again, glowing faintly in your hand. You raise it above your head, and the entire chamber brightens. The benches shimmer as though occupied once more. Figures of light appear, seated in rows, their faces serene. They turn toward you, acknowledging your presence. You bow deeply, honoring their song. As you bow, the figures fade, returning to silence, leaving only the hum within your bones. You realize you will carry this choir with you always. Wherever you walk, the harmony of silence will walk too, a hidden song resonating beneath your words. A narrow stair opens at the far side of the amphitheatre, leading upward. You ascend, each step filled with the weightless strength of the choir. Their silence is your companion now, a harmony no noise can shatter. At the top of the stair, you find yourself in a chamber small and plain. Its walls are smooth, unadorned, and in the centre stands a single object upon a low pedestal, a lantern. It is simple, iron-framed, with a glass body smudged by age. No flame burns within it, yet the lantern glows faintly, a soft light that does not flicker. You approach cautiously, sensing its quiet gravity. When you touch the glass, the glow steadies, brightening slightly. The lantern does not draw upon oil, nor upon fire. Its light comes from stillness itself, from silence condensed into radiance. You lift it gently, and immediately the chamber responds. The walls fade, dissolving into darkness, until only the lantern remains, casting its calm glow. You stand alone in a void of quiet, holding the lantern before you. Its light stretches outward, illuminating not stone but memory. You see scenes from your life, times you stumbled in confusion, lost in noise, searching for clarity. Each scene brightens when touched by the lantern's glow. You realize the lantern does not reveal answers. It reveals space in which answers can rise. The spiral key glimmers faintly, then fades, as though its work in this chamber is complete. You hold the lantern higher. Its glow deepens, surrounding you entirely. You feel calm settle into your bones, into your breath, into your very blood. A whisper forms in the glow. Carry this light not to expose, but to soften. Shine not to blind, but to steady. Let stillness guide you through darkness, and darkness will no longer be your enemy. The void dissolves. The chamber returns. You place the lantern back upon its pedestal, but its glow remains within you, burning behind your eyes, steady in your chest. You bow once, acknowledging the gift, and turn toward a new opening in the stone wall. The path ahead shimmers faintly, beckoning you forward. You carry with you not fire, not flame, but a lantern of stillness that will never extinguish. And as you step through, you understand. Silence is no longer something you enter. It is something you carry, a light unbound by darkness, a guide that never leaves. The new passage descends gently, as though carrying you back toward the heart of the earth. The stone underfoot is smoother here, polished by countless feet that have walked before you. The air smells faintly of cedar smoke and candle soot, but also of something sharper, like metal newly forged. It is neither warm nor cold, an atmosphere held in suspension. The corridor widens into a chamber shaped like an oval, its ceiling arched high, as if carved by flowing water. At the far end stands a mirror taller than 3 men, framed in bronze that has dulled to the colour of old honey. The glass is dark, not reflective. At first, it looks like nothing more than a black pool of still water set upright. You step closer, and with each pace, the mirror brightens slightly, though not with the light of your reflection. Instead, images rise on its surface, faces you know, voices you once heard, people whose words left an imprint upon you. They do not speak now, yet their mouths move, silent and unbroken. The spiral key grows warm in your palm. You lift it, and the mirror begins to vibrate faintly, humming like the low string of a cello. Slowly, the faces fade, replaced by one image, yourself. But not as you are now. You see yourself in fragments, your mouth speaking over someone, your ears turned away, your eyes distracted when another's words sought your attention. The mirror does not accuse. It remembers. You raise your hand, and the reflection changes again. Now you see moments when you listened fully, when your silence became shelter for another, when your stillness gave someone courage to speak their hidden truth. Warmth spreads through your chest at the memory of those rare times. The mirror brightens further, words etching themselves across the glass. Listening is not waiting to speak. Listening is allowing another's breath to live in you. The letters fade, and the mirror becomes dark again. But you sense it has given you its treasure, not an object, but a practice. You bow your head, whispering gratitude. As you turn to leave, the mirror shimmers once more. In its depths, you glimpse a final vision, yourself, older, calmer, carrying silence as naturally as breathing. Your presence alone allows others to find their voice. Then the vision dissolves, leaving only the faint outline of your reflection. A door opens in the wall beside the mirror. You step through, the echo of listening carried now within your very bones. The passage beyond is narrow, winding downward into colder stone. You walk slowly, the air thinning, the quiet deepening. After some time, you hear the faint sound of water. It grows louder with each step, not rushing but dripping, steady as a metronome. The corridor opens into a vast cavern lit by a pale blue glow. At its centre lies a well, ringed by smooth stone, its water dark and bottomless. Around the well stand 7 stone plinths, each holding a tablet inscribed with names. Some names you recognize figures from history, saints, rulers, poets. Others are strange, lost to memory. Each tablet glows faintly, as if the names themselves are alive. You approach the well. The air is cold here, carrying a weight of remembrance. When you peer into the water, you do not see your reflection. You see names, thousands, millions drifting like constellations, written in faint silver light. Names spoken once with love, with anger, with reverence, now surrendered to silence. The spiral key pulses in your hand. A voice rises from the depths, quiet but clear. Every name is a spell. Every name shapes the world. But all names are borrowed. All names return to silence. You kneel beside the well. The tablets hum, and one name rises from the water, glowing brighter than the rest. It is your own. Not the essence name the mirror revealed to you, but the name the world calls you by. You watch it shimmer on the surface, fragile as breath. You hesitate, then speak it aloud. The sound drifts into the chamber, echoing faintly, then dissolves. The name sinks back into the well, absorbed into the sea of countless others. A hush fills the cavern. You understand now, names are temporary garments. They help us walk through the world, but they are not who we are. One day, every name returns to the well, leaving only the essence beneath. You bow to the water, acknowledging both the gift and the burden of being named. As you rise, the tablets fade, their glow extinguished until only the pale water remains. A hidden passage opens behind the well, lit by the same faint blue light. You step into it, carrying within you the freedom of knowing you are more than any name the world has given. The passage curves upward now, narrowing as it rises. The blue glow of the well fades, replaced by deep darkness. Your hand grazes the wall for guidance, and you notice it is warm, pulsing faintly. The stone itself seems alive, beating in rhythm with your heart. At last, you emerge into a small, circular chamber. It is completely black, without light, without sound. Yet you feel it instantly, the rhythm of your heart echoing through the floor, the walls, the air. You stand very still, realizing that this space amplifies not the noise of the world, but the rhythm inside you. You close your eyes, though it makes no difference. You listen. Your heart beats steady, then slows. For a moment, there is nothing between each beat but silence. And then, the silence begins to stretch. The chamber teaches you to notice what you never did before. The quiet between heartbeats. That fraction of a second when nothing stirs, when no pulse commands, when the body rests in stillness before moving again. The longer you remain, the wider those spaces grow, until each one feels like a doorway into eternity. Your spiral key glows faintly in the darkness, casting a soft golden shimmer across your chest. The chamber hums in response, and a voice stirs within the silence. Life is not only in the beating, it is also in the pause. Do not fear the quiet spaces. They are the ground of being. You breathe slowly, surrendering to the rhythm. Beat, silence, beat, silence. Soon, the silences feel longer than the beats, as if you are standing in timelessness itself. You feel lighter, freed from the constant push of motion. You are no longer rushing toward the next moment. You are living fully within the one that holds you now. When at last the chamber begins to glow, you see a door appear on the far wall. It is simple, unadorned, made of plain wood, yet it radiates calm. You step toward it slowly, pausing between each heartbeat, savouring the silence that follows. As you place your hand upon the door, the chamber whispers one last truth. Carry the quiet between heartbeats into every step. Let it soften your speech, steady your choices, open your path. The door opens, and you walk through, silence moving with you like a hidden current, steady and eternal. The wooden door closes behind you, soft as a sigh. Ahead lies a narrow corridor, that carries with it a faint fragrance, something between ash and incense, sharp yet familiar, like smoke clinging to robes long after ritual has ended. You walk slowly, and the sound of your footsteps is not swallowed as before. Instead, each step seems to echo faintly, as if someone far away is imitating your walk. The passage opens into a wide circular chamber. Its walls are covered with thin slips of parchment, thousands upon thousands, each pinned carefully into the stone. The parchment edges are frayed, darkened with age, some curling, some torn. The air vibrates with a hum so low you feel it in your ribs before you hear it in your ears. You step closer to one of the parchments. The writing upon it is smudged, incomplete, just a fragment of a prayer. Words stop mid-sentence, requests unfinished, pleas abandoned. On another parchment, ink stains show where the writer's hand shook. Some slips bear only single words: forgive, save, remember. These are the prayers never finished, the words cut short by doubt, death, or silence. They were gathered here, preserved in the vault, as though even the incomplete deserves remembrance. You place your hand upon the wall, and the hum rises. The chamber begins to breathe around you, parchment edges fluttering though no wind stirs. And then you hear them, voices overlapping, the unfinished prayers spoken softly in hundreds of tongues. Not desperate, not demanding, but yearning. They fill the chamber like a tide, rising, falling, a chorus of what was left unsaid. Your spiral key warms in your hand. You lift it, and the voices grow clearer. One calls to you directly. It is not the voice of a stranger. It is your own, your younger self, whispering a prayer you never finished. The memory rises unbidden. A night when you sat in darkness, hands clasped, mouth half-formed around a plea for clarity or help. But you stopped before the words left fully, ashamed or afraid to be heard. And yet the vault heard. It carried that unfinished syllable here. Tears gather in your eyes as you listen to yourself whisper again from the wall. The chamber does not mock you. It simply reminds you nothing unfinished is truly lost. Silence keeps it alive until you are ready to complete it. You inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and this time you let the prayer finish, whispering it into the quiet. The parchment before you glows faintly, the ink clarifying, the edges smoothing as if the paper itself is at peace. The hum softens, and the overlapping voices quiet. A passage opens at the far side of the chamber, glowing gently. You bow your head to the unfinished prayers, feeling gratitude not just for those you completed, but for those that still wait, suspended in silence until you return to them. You step forward, lighter, carrying the truth that even what is left undone has a place in the eternal rhythm of listening. The passage narrows once more, darker now. The light from the chamber of prayers fades, leaving only a thin glow that seems to come from beneath the floor. You walk slowly, the spiral key in your hand, feeling its weight steady you. The corridor opens into a square chamber where a single table sits at the centre. It is long, carved from dark wood, its surface polished, smooth, but covered with strange markings, outlines of hands, silhouettes of faces, faint etchings of objects, a cup, a blade, a book. They are not carved deeply, but burned faintly into the wood, as though made by shadows pressed down until they left a trace. Above the table, no torch or lamp hangs, yet a pale light glows from nowhere, falling only upon the surface. You draw closer, leaning over the table. The markings shimmer faintly. Then, to your surprise, new shapes begin to form. They rise in thin, smoke-like outlines, hovering above the wood, the shadow of your own hand, the shadow of your face. The table is capturing you, recording your presence. You lift your hand away quickly, startled, and the shadow fades. But the hum of the chamber tells you this is not danger, it is truth. The table remembers not only prayers or names, it remembers shadows, the silent imprint of everything that passes here. You sit at the table, resting both hands upon its surface. The shadows rise more clearly, this time bringing with them faint images. You see yourself not as you are now, but as shadows from your past, the moments when you lingered unseen, the times when you thought your presence left no mark. Yet the table has kept them all. The spiral key warms again. The shadows shift, reshaping into forms of those you have known. Some faces you remember vividly, others are blurred, people who brushed your life only briefly. Yet all of them have left shadows upon your table, just as you have left shadows upon theirs. The lesson hums clear. No presence is ever invisible. Even in silence, even in secrecy, we leave imprints. The world is shaped by shadows as much as by light. You bow slightly, acknowledging what the table has shown you. Your shadows are neither condemned nor glorified, they are simply remembered. When you rise, the table still glows faintly, carrying your imprint. A hidden door opens beyond it. You leave quietly, knowing the table of shadows will hold your presence for all time, woven into the fabric of silence alongside countless others. The hidden door leads into a passage unlike any before. The air changes, growing warmer, sweeter, infused with the fragrance of earth and growing things. You step forward cautiously, the spiral key glowing faintly in your hand, until the passage opens into a vast underground garden. It is lit not by torches, nor by lanterns, but by bioluminescent vines clinging to the walls and ceiling. Their glow falls like moonlight across rows of plants, trees and flowers. Some are familiar olive trees, rosemary, roses. Others are strange, their blossoms shimmering with colours you have no name for. The ground is soft beneath your feet, a mix of moss and soil, damp but alive. You walk among the rows, listening. The garden is not silent, it breathes. Leaves rustle though no wind blows. Petals fold and unfold with faint sighs. Roots hum below the surface, vibrations you feel through the soles of your feet. The entire space is alive, with the memory of silence transformed into growth. At the centre of the garden stands a fountain carved from white marble. Its water is clear, but when you peer closer, you see shapes moving within not fish or leaves, but seeds, glowing softly, drifting as though waiting to be chosen. The spiral key grows warmer, pulsing in rhythm with the fountain. You kneel beside it, reaching into the water. Your fingers brush against one of the seeds, and it lifts into your palm. It glows brighter, warming your skin, and you feel within it not potential for food or flower, but for silence itself to take root. A whisper rises from the garden. Silence is not empty, it is seed. Wherever it is planted, life will grow. You clutch the seed gently to your chest. The glow seeps into you, sinking deep into your heart. The fountain ripples once, then grows still. The garden quiets, as if acknowledging that you have taken what was meant for you. When you rise, you see a path opening between the trees, leading toward another hidden passage. You walk slowly, savouring the fragrant air, the hum of roots and leaves. As you leave the garden, you realise you carry its truth within you. Every silence you honour, every pause you create, will become fertile ground. In that soil, new life will rise unseen at first, but inevitable. You step into the passage beyond, the scent of earth and blossom lingering on your skin, the seed of silence glowing softly within your chest. The passage narrows as you leave the garden behind. Its damp, fragrant air fades into something drier, sharper, like stone kept in shadows too long. You walk slowly, and after some distance, the ground begins to slope upward, the air thinning, as though preparing you for a space higher and more open than the last. The corridor widens suddenly into a chamber, vast and hollow, domed ceiling, stretching above like the night sky. At the centre of this chamber stands a single bell. It is enormous, suspended by chains that vanish into the ceiling. Its surface is bronze, though tarnished nearly black with age. Strange etchings spiral across it, patterns like waves, ripples radiating outward from a point unseen. You step closer. The bell is still, silent. Yet the silence feels heavier here, pressing into your skin, pulsing in your ears. You realize this is not absence of sound. It is sound held, restrained, waiting. The bell has not been struck in centuries, perhaps longer, and yet its silence is louder than any chime you have ever known. The spiral key glows faintly in your hand. You hold it up, uncertain whether to strike the bell or touch it. The hum within your chest warns you. This is not a bell for noise. It is a bell for silence. To strike it would be to shatter the balance. To listen is to honor it. You close your eyes and kneel at the bell's base. The silence swells around you, filling every crevice of your being. And then, without movement, without sound, the bell begins to resonate. Not through your ears, but through your bones. A deep vibration passes through you, humming in marrow, echoing in the hollow chambers of your heart. The resonance carries memory. You see monks gathered centuries ago, seated in circles around this very bell. They do not strike it. They sit in silence, breathing with it, allowing its unspoken vibration to align their hearts. The bell was never meant to call them to prayer. It was the prayer. Your breath slows to match the vibration. Inhale, exhale, silence swelling between. You realize you are not listening to the bell. You are becoming the bell. Each cell in your body hums in resonance, carrying silence outward as though you were cast from bronze yourself. When you open your eyes, faint letters glow on the bell's surface. The loudest silence is within you. Ring it not with hands, but with being. You bow deeply. The bell does not chime, yet its presence echoes in you long after. A hidden passage opens at the far side of the chamber, revealed by the dim glow of your spiral key. You rise slowly, carrying the silent resonance with you. As you leave, you do not look back. The bell has already moved within you, and its silence will never fade. The passage carries you downward again, curving gently until the air grows thick with dust and parchment. Yet when you arrive, you see no shelves, no volumes. The chamber is vast and circular, walls smooth and bare. At the centre lies a round table of marble, polished so finely it reflects the faint light above like still water. You approach cautiously. The table is empty. No scrolls, no tomes, no records. And yet, as you stand over it, words begin to appear upon the surface. They do not rise in ink, but in light letters, forming and dissolving in endless sequence. They are not written to be stored. They are written to be read in this moment alone. You place your hand on the table. At once the words shift to mirror your own breath. Memories spill across the marble snatches of voices you've heard, stories you've forgotten, knowledge you never realized you carried, a childhood lesson, a warning whispered once by a stranger, a truth you felt but never spoke. The library without ink is not a place of stored books. It is a place of living memory. Every word ever spoken, every truth ever thought, drifts here without binding. The table reveals only what the seeker is ready to hear. You lean closer, and the words shift again. They show fragments of wisdom from voices, not your own ancient phrases, from forgotten languages. Equations drawn by hands long dead, fragments of songs never sung aloud. Each one flickers briefly, then dissolves back into light. You realize this library holds the collective silence of humanity, not the words that survived in books, but the ones lost, the ones too fragile for paper, too fleeting for stone. Your spiral key pulses in your hand. The letters brighten, arranging themselves into a phrase meant only for you. The wisdom you seek is already within. You are the library. Silence holds your shelves. The words fade. The table returns to still marble, empty, waiting for the next seeker. A doorway opens in the far wall, lined with pale light. You bow to the table, grateful not for the knowledge you carry away, but for the reminder that silence itself is a living record. You walk onward, each step lighter, your mind filled not with words, but with the quiet assurance that nothing is ever lost. The next passage grows narrow, winding like the throat of a cave. The air grows cooler, dry, carrying the faint scent of burnt wood. You emerge into a small chamber, dimly lit by torches set in iron brackets. At its centre stands an urn of black stone, tall and simple, its surface etched with spirals similar to those on your key. You approach slowly. The urn radiates a presence heavier than any relic you've encountered yet. Its silence is dense, unyielding, as though it contains centuries of weight. You kneel before it, instinct guiding you to reverence. The spiral key glows in your hand, casting faint light across the urn's carvings. For a long moment, nothing stirs. Then the ashes within shift, whispering faintly like sand in a hidden breeze. Visions rise before you, fires burning in distant centuries. Sacred texts turn to flame, lives extinguished in silence. The ashes are not remnants of one thing, but of many. Prayers burned, scrolls destroyed, bodies returned to dust. This urn is not merely a container, it is a keeper, holding what the world sought to erase. Your breath catches. The ashes whisper not words but presence. They tell you nothing is ever truly destroyed. All returns, all transforms. You close your eyes, listening deeply. The whispers grow louder, forming a rhythm, like the crackle of fire slowed into memory. You understand then that ashes are not ends, they are beginnings disguised. What burns returns to soil. What crumbles nourishes roots. What dissolves becomes the air we breathe. The spiral key pulses warmly. You hold it above the urn, and the whispers soften, settling back into silence. A faint glow seeps from the spirals carved into the urn, pulsing once, twice, then fading. The ashes have accepted your listening. You bow deeply, feeling both grief and reverence. The Keeper of Ashes has reminded you that silence is not only peace, but also transformation. A narrow door opens behind the urn, light spilling faintly into the chamber. You rise and step toward it, carrying with you the truth that even endings are seeds. Even loss is part of the eternal rhythm. You pass into the passage beyond, the scent of ash lingering like a prayer unfinished, steadying your steps as you walk deeper into the vault's mysteries. The passage beyond the urn slopes downward, narrowing until you are forced to trace your hand along the stone for guidance. The air grows thinner the deeper you go, your chest tightening slightly as though the vault itself is testing your breath. The silence here is sharp, almost metallic, like air left too long in a sealed jar. You pause, steadying yourself, letting your lungs adjust. Inhale slowly, exhale slower still. The spiral key in your hand warms against your palm, pulsing in rhythm with your breath. Only when you match its cadence does the passage widen again, releasing you into a chamber unlike any you have yet entered. It feels alive in a different way. The floor is covered in fine white sand that shifts faintly as though stirred by unseen winds. Above, the ceiling arch is high, painted not with carvings or stone, but with faint constellations that shimmer like stars in midnight skies. At the far end of the chamber stands an archway, tall and slender, carved from black marble. Its interior is not empty. Instead, it holds a field of soft, undulating mist. You walk closer. The mist swirls gently, glowing faintly silver. As you peer into it, you see not stone beyond, but fragments of dreamscapes. A field of golden wheat, swaying though no wind blows. A river that flows upward into a sky of pale violet. A door that opens onto nothing but endless light. The doorway of breathless dreams is no simple portal. It is a threshold into the silence where dreams are born. The mist ripples as you draw near, responding to your presence. The air tightens again in your chest, your breath faltering. Instinct urges you to step back, but the spiral key hums more strongly, reminding you silence holds its own rhythm. To pass through this doorway, you must learn to breathe less with lungs and more with spirit. You kneel before the archway, closing your eyes. Slowly, you soften your breath until it is nearly imperceptible. You imagine your lungs becoming transparent, your body porous as stone. With each slow inhale, you receive not air, but stillness. With each exhale, you release everything, tethering you to the waking world. The mist thickens, then parts. A vision rises before you, vivid and fluid. You are standing within your own dream, a memory of one you half remember upon waking. Yourself walking across a bridge of glass suspended over a black sea. But now the dream continues beyond where you once woke. The bridge bends, spirals, and carries you into a landscape both familiar and strange. This is the gift of the doorway. It allows unfinished dreams to continue, showing you paths your waking mind never saw. You walk deeper into the vision, seeing fragments of yourself scattered like starlight, possibilities waiting to be chosen. Each shimmer carries a different outcome. Each dream is a seed. The spiral key pulses. The mist begins to close, urging you to return. You step back slowly, bowing your head in gratitude. The vision fades, the arch returning to stillness. Etched words glow briefly upon the marble. Dreams do not end when you wake. They wait, silent, until you return. A hidden passage opens beside the arch. You step through, carrying the echo of your dream still within you, breathing silence more than air, lighter than when you arrived. The new passage slopes gently upward. The silence here is different, expectant, almost domestic, like the hush that lingers in a room just before guests arrive. You follow it until the corridor widens into a long hall filled with rows of wooden chairs. They are arranged in neat order, facing a raised platform at the far end. Every chair is empty, yet the air is heavy, as if the room remembers the weight of those who once sat here. Cushions sag slightly. Armrests bear the faint polish of hands long gone. You step between the rows, your footsteps muffled by dust. On the platform stands no lectern, no altar, only a single chair larger than the rest, carved from darker wood. Its seat is unmarked, untouched. You sense this is the chair of the keeper. But the keeper is not present. Only their absence remains. You sit in one of the empty chairs. At once, the silence shifts. The air fills with faint impressions. Coughs suppressed, breath held, bodies shifting. The chairs are not empty at all. They are filled with memory, each one holding the silence of those who once gathered here. You close your eyes, listening. A whisper rises, low and steady, weaving through the hall. It is not a single voice, but many, layered as though every person who ever sat here speaks together now. They do not chant, they do not sing, they listen. The hall itself is an archive of listening. Your spiral key warms. The great chair at the front hums faintly, glowing around its edges. A vision flickers. The keeper once sat there, guiding others, not with words, but with silence. Their presence taught those gathered how to listen more deeply, to hold silence not as emptiness, but as communion. The vision fades. You rise and approach the keeper's chair. It remains empty, waiting. You touch the carved wood, and for a moment you feel the weight of responsibility. The silence of others is sacred. To hold it is a task beyond ego. Words etch themselves faintly into the chair's back. Silence is never yours alone. It is always shared. You bow, stepping away. The chairs behind you creak faintly, as though unseen figures shift in acknowledgement. A door appears at the side of the hall, opening quietly. You leave, carrying with you the truth that silence is not solitary. It is a gathering, a community, a hall filled with empty chairs that are never truly empty. The new passage is narrow and steep, its air carrying the faint metallic tang of iron. You climb slowly until you enter a chamber dimly lit by sconces of flame. At its centre stands a stone table. Upon it lie 7 keys, each one blackened with ash, their edges worn but intact. You step closer. Each key is different. One shaped like a leaf, another like a star, another like a spiral. Yet all are covered in ash, as though pulled from a fire. You sense they are relics of doors long since burned away. These keys no longer open locks in the world, they open locks in memory. You lift one key carefully. Ash crumbles from it, drifting through your fingers like grey snow. As it rests in your palm, a vision flickers. You see a door from your past, a choice you never made, a path you never walked. The key glows faintly, inviting you to turn it. But when you try, the vision fades, leaving only the echo of what might have been. You place it back gently and lift another. This one shows you a face, a person you once knew but lost, words unspoken between you still heavy in silence. Again, the key glows, but when you try to turn it, the lock dissolves. The past cannot be opened. You understand now. These are the ashen keys. They do not grant access to what is gone. They remind you of the doors already closed, the silences sealed by time and fire. They are not tools of return, but of release. Your spiral key hums in sympathy. The ashen keys begin to glow faintly together, illuminating words carved into the stone table. Some silences are final. Do not fear them. They free you for the doors yet to come. You bow your head. With reverence, you place both hands upon the table, acknowledging each key without lifting it again. You accept the truth. Not every silence can be broken. Some must remain as they are, ash and memory, so that new silences may grow. A doorway opens in the far wall, glowing faintly gold. You step toward it, leaving the ashen keys behind. As you pass through, you carry with you a lighter heart, freed from the weight of what cannot return. The silence ahead feels clearer, cleaner, as though the vault itself recognizes your willingness to let go. The golden doorway from the chamber of ashen keys leads you into a narrow corridor where the air feels damp, as if the stones themselves are sweating. You walk slowly, the scent of water and moss growing stronger with each step, until the passage opens into a vast cavern. In the centre, beneath a ceiling glittering faintly with mineral light, rises a fountain of marble. But unlike any fountain you have ever seen, no water flows. Instead, a stream of silvery light arcs upward and falls back upon itself, glowing like liquid moon. You step closer. The surface of the fountain's basin ripples, though no breeze stirs it. As you lean forward, you see letters drifting in the luminous liquid. They float like petals, words etched in glowing script, words you know yet never spoke aloud. You watch them twist and dissolve into silence before new ones rise to take their place. The spiral key warms in your palm, and immediately the fountain stirs more actively. The words multiply, clustering together, shaping fragments of sentences you remember forming but holding back. The compliment you never gave, the apology you swallowed, the declaration of love or gratitude or fear left unsaid. Every unspoken word you ever carried now floats before you, luminous and fragile. Your chest tightens. You never imagined silence had kept such a record. Yet here it is, shimmering in light water that glows like memory itself. You reach into the fountain, your fingers brushing a glowing fragment. The moment you touch it, the memory returns vividly. The person, the place, the heartbeat you felt when you almost spoke but chose silence. You close your hand around it, and the word dissolves into warmth, seeping into your skin. A whisper fills the chamber. What is unspoken is not lost. Silence carries it until you are ready to release it. You breathe deeply, and on the exhale you whisper one of those words aloud. It drifts into the fountain, merging with the glowing liquid. The surface ripples, then calms. You whisper another, and another. With each word, the fountain brightens, the basin shimmering like dawn. Tears sting your eyes, but they do not fall. This is not grief, it is relief. The unspoken words have found their voice at last, not in the ears of those long gone, but in the silence that always held them. The spiral key pulses once more, and the fountain overflows, spilling glowing liquid across the floor. Where it touches, a passage forms, glowing softly, inviting you onward. You bow to the fountain, gratitude flowing from you like breath. You step through the new passage, lighter than before, your silence cleansed of what it once held. The passage curves gently, carrying you upward through stone that grows smoother, almost polished by unseen hands. Soon, the air begins to hum with faint vibrations, not loud, not distinct, but a low resonance, like a memory of music long faded. You follow it until you step into a chamber vast as a cathedral. Lining the walls are instruments, dozens, perhaps hundreds, harps, flutes, drums, lutes, horns. Some are familiar, others strange, carved into shapes you cannot name. All are covered in dust, silent. Yet, as you step into the hall, the silence thickens, and you feel each instrument alive, waiting. You walk slowly among them, fingertips grazing their surfaces. Each touch stirs faint resonance, not notes but vibrations in your chest. A harp hums softly, though no string is plucked. A drum whispers, though no hand strikes it. A flute sighs without breath. The spiral key glows in your palm. The hall responds. Instruments across the chamber begin to vibrate in unison. Their silence becomes soundless music, a harmony too deep for ears, too subtle for air. It plays within you, stirring places you did not know were waiting. You close your eyes. The vibrations weave together, forming a pattern. You realize this hall is an archive of unheard music melodies never performed, songs lost before they were sung, symphonies silenced before birth. The vault has gathered them all here, preserving not their sound, but their silence. One instrument calls to you, a lyre, standing at the center, strings intact but unplayed. You approach and lift it carefully. The wood is warm, as if it remembers hands long gone. You draw your fingers across the strings. No sound emerges, yet your chest vibrates, your bones humming, as though the notes play inside you. A vision rises. You see a hall filled with listeners, each one silent, eyes closed. No sound fills the air, yet every heart beats in rhythm with the music carried within. You understand, the greatest music is not what is heard, but what is shared in silence. The spiral key pulses. Words appear faintly upon the lyre's frame. Silence is the first instrument. All music begins there. You return the lyre to its place. The vibrations soften, the hall quieting. But the resonance remains inside you, a melody you will carry long after you leave. A doorway glows at the far end of the hall, its frame carved with symbols of notes dissolving into spirals. You bow to the silent instruments, honoring their music, and step forward. As you pass through, the silence hums within you like a song without end. The passage narrows again, winding down until the air cools sharply. You emerge into a chamber small and plain, its walls bare, its light dim. At its center rests a single stone, smooth and oval, the size of a human torso. Upon its surface are dozens of handprints, pressed deep as though carved not by tools but by touch alone. You approach reverently. The stone radiates warmth, as if each handprint still carries the heat of the one who left it. You kneel before it, reaching out. Your hand hovers above one of the impressions, hesitant. Then you press your palm against it. At once, silence deepens, folding around you. A vision rises not with eyes but with skin. You feel the weight of another's hand long ago, pressing where yours now rests. Their presence hums through the stone, steady, kind. You do not know their name. You do not need to. In this silence, all hands are one. You shift your palm to another imprint. Again, the silence swells, this time carrying grief, another time carrying joy, another time carrying weariness. Each handprint is a moment of listening preserved, each one a trace of someone who once surrendered to the silence here. Your spiral key glows faintly. You place it upon the stone. The handprints shimmer, glowing one by one until the entire stone radiates golden light. A whisper fills the chamber. Silence listens through your hands as much as through your ears. Touch is another language of the soul. You close your eyes, pressing both hands to the stone. The silence carries you into stillness so deep it feels like sleep without dreaming. When you open your eyes again, the stone has dimmed, but a new imprint has appeared yours, etched clearly among the rest. You have joined the lineage of listeners. A passage opens behind the stone, glowing softly. You rise, bowing to the stone of listening hands. You leave knowing that silence does not live only in ears or in words withheld. It lives in the touch we give, the presence we share, the listening we do without sound. You step into the new corridor, carrying the warmth of countless hands upon your own, silence now etched into your very skin. The passage winds upward for longer than you can measure. The stone grows lighter in colour the higher you climb, grey shading into pale cream, as though even the walls are preparing for a different kind of silence. The air is dry, scented faintly of wax and smoke that no longer burns. At last, the stair opens into a circular chamber. Its ceiling rises higher than any you have seen, tapering like a spire. The space is filled with candles, hundreds, perhaps thousands lined on shelves, clustered on ledges, standing in neat rows across the floor. Some are tall, untouched. Others have burned low, wax dripping like frozen tears. And yet none are lit. The room glows faintly only from the ceiling above, where light filters down like pale dawn. You walk carefully among the candles, sensing their quiet power. They do not need flame to speak. Each one hums with presence, a breath held long ago. You pause at one half melted, its wick curled into ash. Placing your hand above it, you feel warmth not of fire, but of memory. A whisper stirs in the air. A prayer once breathed into the flame, carried upward until silence kept it. The spiral key glows faintly in your palm. At once, the chamber shifts. A low sigh moves through the candles. The air quivers, and then every unlit wick begins to shimmer with faint smoke. Not rising upward, but lingering, curling downward like whispers falling into your chest. Visions emerge. You see faces bending over these candles, breath steady, lips moving softly. Wishes, pleas, gratitudes. The wax remembers. The smoke carries them still. These are not candles of light. They are candles of silence, vessels for every breath that once leaned close. You kneel. Closing your eyes, you breathe into one of the wicks. No flame rises, yet the candle glows faintly, responding. You feel the silence carry your exhale downward, joining thousands of others. A truth settles inside you. Not every prayer needs fire. Some prayers are stronger when left unlit, when silence alone bears their weight. The spiral key warms hotter. A single path clears among the rows, leading toward a narrow stair at the chamber's far wall. As you rise, you bow slightly, acknowledging the countless breaths that still linger here. Then you climb the stair, carrying with you the memory of candles that do not burn, yet shine forever in silence. The stair leads you downward again, spiraling tightly. The walls are rougher here, the air cooler. You descend into darkness until the space widens suddenly, revealing a hall filled with rows of bells. They hang from iron beams overhead, great bronze bells, small silver chimes, slender bells of glass and crystal. Yet none of them ring. They sway faintly in still air, silent as statues. You step carefully. The silence is immense, almost suffocating, as though the bells are holding something back. You lift your spiral key. At once, the faintest vibration stirs. The bells tremble but do not sound. Instead, they hum inaudibly, their silence thickening into presence. You approach the largest bell, a bronze giant taller than you. Resting your hand against its side, you feel a deep vibration, steady as a heartbeat, but no sound emerges. You realize these are hidden bells. They do not ring for ears, they ring for the soul. Closing your eyes, You breathe slowly. The chamber responds. A vibration grows, surrounding you, filling your chest, your bones. It is not music, not chime, but resonance. The bells speak not with sound, but with silence that vibrates into being. Visions rise. You see villages gathered at dawn, waiting for bells that never rang, and yet all knew the hour had come. They felt it in their blood, in their bones, carried from the vault into their silence. These bells were never struck, for they did not need to be. Their presence rang across centuries, reminding hearts to gather, to listen, to wait. The spiral key glows brighter. You hold it high, and suddenly the bells shimmer. For a heartbeat, they ring not with sound, but with light. A flash fills the chamber, and words etch faintly on the nearest bell. The world does not always need to hear your voice. Sometimes your silence is the loudest bell. You bow deeply. The bells sway, silent once more. A narrow door opens at the chamber's far wall, glowing faintly. You step through, the vibration still humming within you. You carry the truth that not every bell needs to ring, just as not every silence needs to break. The door opens onto a passage colder than ice. The air stings as you breathe, sharp and dry. You move slowly, your footsteps echoing faintly, until the corridor opens into a vast chamber lit by pale blue fire set in iron bowls. The flames give no heat. Their glow reveals rows of stone plinths stretching into the distance. Upon each plinth lies a single mask. You walk among them. Some masks are carved of wood, others of clay, some of hammered metal. Each bears a face. None are decorated with jewels or colour. They are simple, human, ordinary. Yet the silence here is heavy, pressing down like stone. You pause before one. Its eyes are closed, its mouth neutral. You feel the faintest pull, as if the mask is waiting for you to recognize it. You look closer, and then you see it. The lines are familiar. The shape, the curve. It is a face you knew once, a person whose memory slipped from you. The spiral key warms in your palm. At once, the chamber stirs. The masks begin to hum faintly, vibrating with silence. You realize these are the vanished faces, the ones history erased, the ones memory forgot. Their silence has been kept here, not to mourn them, but to preserve the truth that every face matters, even those no longer spoken of. You lift the mask gently. It is light, almost weightless, yet when you hold it, your chest fills with presence. You do not recall the name, but you recall the feeling, the warmth, the kindness, the fleeting moment of connection. The mask hums, and you realize silence has kept what memory let go. A whisper fills the chamber. You will be forgotten, but silence will remember. Your heart tightens, not with fear, but with release. You replace the mask carefully, bowing to it. You continue walking, acknowledging each face in turn. You cannot name them. You cannot save them, but you can honor them. The spiral key pulses brightly now. At the far end of the chamber, a doorway opens, its light soft as dawn. You step toward it, glancing once more at the countless masks. They remain still, silent, watching. As you leave, you carry the truth that memory fades, but silence keeps what matters. Faces vanish, names dissolve, yet presence endures. The archive of vanished faces has entrusted you with this knowing. You step into the passage beyond, the pale fire fading behind you, the silence of countless faces resting gently in your heart. The passage leaving the archive of vanished faces is long and narrow, its air colder still, until even your breath appears in pale clouds. The sound of your footsteps echoes in a strange way, hard, crystalline, as though striking not earth, but glass. When the corridor widens, you step into a chamber unlike any before. Here the walls shimmer with mineral sheen, as if countless breaths had crystallized into quartz. The floor glitters faintly beneath your feet, smooth as polished marble but flecked with frozen air. At the center rises a monument, a circle of stones, each the size of your chest, arranged upright like ancient sentinels. They are translucent, faintly glowing, veins of light running through them. You approach slowly. The silence here feels sharp, expectant. You place your hand upon one stone, and immediately your palm grows warm. Inside the glow, you see faint wisps, swirling breaths turned solid, sealed by time. Each stone holds not merely air, but the last exhale of someone who came here before. The spiral key glows in your palm. At once, the stones stir. They vibrate faintly, a low hum reverberating through the chamber. With each vibration, memories rise in your chest, echoes of people who once released their breath here. Some exhaled with relief, others with sorrow, others with awe. Their last breaths of silence turn to stone, preserved for eternity. You close your eyes, inhale, exhale. You press your own breath into the stone, and it absorbs your exhale like water into thirsty soil. A glow flares inside, brighter than before, weaving your silence into its veins. A whisper follows. Every breath you release belongs to silence in the end. Each one becomes stone, shaping the walls of eternity. The chamber brightens as though acknowledging your gift. For a moment, you feel your lungs lighter, freer, as if part of you has been carved into permanence. The spiral key pulses, and a doorway opens behind the circle of stones. You bow deeply, honouring those whose silence has been sealed here, and walk onward, your own breath now part of the chamber's eternal memory. The passage slopes downward, the air growing moist, carrying the scent of moss and wet stone. Soon you hear it, the faint murmur of water. Yet as you step into the chamber, the sight confounds you. A river stretches across the floor, wide and dark, but its surface is perfectly still, no ripples, no current. It is water held in suspension, as if time itself forgot to move it. You kneel at the edge, dipping your fingers into the river. The water is cold, heavier than you expect, resisting motion. When you draw your hand back, droplets cling stubbornly to your skin, glowing faintly. These are not ordinary waters. They are silence made liquid, time paused into stillness. The spiral key glows in your hand. At once the river responds. Shapes begin to form upon its surface, reflections not of your body but of your life. You see moments suspended, frozen like the river itself. A choice you almost made but did not. A word on your lips that never left. A step you nearly took, halted by fear or hesitation. This river holds all the pauses, all the stillnesses, every moment when time seemed to stop. It does not judge them, it remembers. You lean closer. The water brightens, showing a moment long buried, a silence you once carried, a truth you kept from yourself. Your chest tightens, but the river offers no command. It only holds. You understand. Silence is not absence of motion. It is a river that keeps everything suspended until you are ready to see. You close your eyes, inhale, exhale. Slowly, you place the spiral key into the water. The river shivers, glowing brighter, releasing ripples at last. Time begins to move again, the current flowing forward silently. The suspended reflections dissolve, merging into motion. The river parts in the centre, revealing a hidden stone path that leads to the far shore. You rise, stepping carefully across, water glowing faintly on either side. Each step carries you further from what was paused, closer to what continues. At the far side, you retrieve the key, dripping with silver light. The path closes behind you, the river resuming its stillness. A door opens in the wall, glowing faintly. You pass through, carrying the river's lesson. Silence holds everything until you are ready to release it. The passage rises steeply, its walls etched with faint carvings of crowns, sceptres, and thrones. Their lines blur, as though worn deliberately to erase detail. The air grows heavy with the scent of iron and dust, the remnants of power long gone. You emerge into a grand chamber, vast and echoing, lit by shafts of pale light falling from cracks high above. At its centre rests a throne carved from black stone, massive and severe. Around it lie broken crowns, scattered across the floor, gold twisted, silver bent, jewels cracked. They glimmer faintly in the dim light, not with glory but with ruin. You step carefully among them. The silence here is oppressive, weighted by the echoes of command, decree, authority. Yet it is not triumphant, it is mournful. Every crown here once rested on a head that believed silence meant obedience. But silence does not bow, it remembers. The spiral key warms in your palm. You lift it, and the broken crowns stir, trembling faintly. Images rise from them, kings and queens, rulers and pontiffs, all seated in power, their voices loud, their commands absolute. But behind their voices, silence lingered subjects who did not speak, truths withheld, resistance unvoiced. That silence outlasted them all. You approach the throne. Its surface is cold, rough beneath your fingers. For a moment, you imagine yourself seated upon it, but the silence swells, pressing down until your knees weaken. You fall to the ground instead, realizing the truth. The throne is empty because silence shattered it. Crowns broke because silence outlived power. A whisper fills the chamber. Authority fades. Silence endures. The loudest rule is always brief. The quiet beneath it is eternal. You bow deeply, not to the throne but to the silence that dismantled it. The crowns on the floor glow faintly, then darken, as though accepting your acknowledgement. The spiral key pulses brighter than ever. A hidden door opens behind the throne, carved into the stone wall. You rise slowly, stepping carefully among the broken crowns. Each glimmers once more as you pass, then fades into stillness. As you leave, you carry the lesson with you. Power shouts, but silence endures. Thrones crumble, crowns shatter, yet silence remains the only true sovereign. The hidden door behind the throne leads into a tunnel that winds downward for what feels like an eternity. The air grows heavy, almost suffocating, filled with a faint metallic tang that clings to the tongue. You press onward until the darkness gives way to a pale glow. When you step out, you find yourself in a vast chamber lined with statues. At first, you believe them to be stone guardians carved into place. Tall, robed figures with solemn faces, their eyes cast downward, their hands folded upon staffs or swords. But when you look closer, you see they are not statues. Their skin bears faint cracks, their robes ripple slightly, and their chests rise and fall with the slowest breaths imaginable. They are alive, yet bound in a silence so deep it resembles stone. The chamber hums with their presence. Each guardian emanates a silence thick as stone walls, a stillness that presses into your bones. You walk slowly between them, careful not to disturb their vigil. None move, none speak, yet you feel their eyes upon you, watching even as their lids remain closed. You clutch the spiral key tightly. It glows faintly, but the guardians do not stir. You realize they are not asleep. They are waiting. Their silence is not rest, but vigilance. They have taken upon themselves the task of watching forever, protecting secrets so heavy that words could never bear them. You kneel before one, pressing your palm gently to the cold fabric of its robe. A vision fills you. The guardian was once flesh and voice, a keeper of knowledge. When silence demanded preservation, they surrendered their speech, their movement, their lives, becoming stillness itself. They are guardians of truths too dangerous for sound, too sacred for memory. A whisper moves faintly through the chamber, not from any single figure, but from all at once. To protect is to be silent. To endure is to vanish into stillness. Your chest aches. You realize this silence is not chosen lightly. It is a sacrifice. To become guardian is to erase oneself so that others may live. The spiral key pulses brighter. For a moment, one guardian opens its eyes. They glow faint gold, looking directly into you, not accusing, not pleading, only witnessing. Then they close again, returning to their eternal vigil. A door opens at the far side of the chamber, revealed by the faint glow of the key. You bow deeply before leaving, your heart heavy with reverence. You carry with you the weight of their sacrifice, silence not as comfort but as protection. The passage beyond narrows into a long corridor with walls carved smooth as glass. Your footsteps echo strangely here, sharper, thinner, as though the walls amplify what you cannot hear. You walk slowly, following the corridor into a round chamber filled with strange hollows in the stone. They resemble mouths, dozens of them, carved into walls and ceiling alike. You approach one cautiously. Inside the hollow you see not darkness, but faint shimmer, like air caught in glass. You lean closer and hear something uncanny, the shape of a sound that was never spoken. No word, no cry, just an echo of what could have been. The entire chamber hums with them, unborn echoes, sounds never uttered, swallowed before leaving the throat. A laugh held back, a scream silenced, a truth never voiced. They are not memories of sound, but possibilities, fragments of silence shaped like voices. The spiral key warms in your palm, and at once the hollows stir. A dozen echoes ripple into the chamber. You hear fragments of yourself, words you almost spoke, breaths you stifled, sighs you hid. They reverberate softly, fading before they form. Your chest tightens. The silence here is not comfortable. It is sharp, unfinished, haunting. Yet as you listen longer, you understand. These echoes are not failures. They are promises. Each withheld sound became a seed for stillness. Each unspoken syllable carved space where silence could live. A whisper rises from the hollows. Not all silence is loss. Some silence is creation. You close your eyes. The chamber fills with ripples of your own withheld echoes. You hear them not with ears but with memory. They do not accuse. They remind you that silence carries more power than words left incomplete. The spiral key pulses again, brighter than before. One hollow glows faintly, then opens into a narrow passage. You step toward it, bowing once to the chamber. As you leave, the echoes fade, but you carry their lesson. Silence births echoes that do not fade. They shape the world as surely as sound. The passage opens into a cavern so vast it feels as though you have stepped outside the vault itself. Above stretches a sky painted with hues of dawn, pale rose, soft gold, faint violet, though no sun rises. The light is constant, frozen in the eternal moment before morning breaks. The floor beneath you is not stone but soft earth, covered in grass that glows faintly in the dawnlight. You walk forward, and the silence here feels different from any you have known. It is not heavy, not guarded, not mournful. It is expansive, infinite, alive with possibility. In the distance, you see stones standing in a wide circle, like markers of an ancient gathering. As you approach, you realize each one hums faintly. The sound is not audible but felt, a pulse that resonates through the ground. You kneel before one, touching it. You see visions of beginnings, first steps, first breaths, first words. Every stone here is a marker of origins. You stand at the circle's center. The spiral key glows brighter than ever, almost too warm to hold. The sky above ripples, and for a moment you see countless dawns unfolding at once. The first dawn of creation, the first dawn of every soul, the first dawn of silence before it birthed sound. The field hums softly. A whisper rises, clear as morning air. All silence is dawn. Every pause is a beginning. Do not fear the quiet before speech, the stillness before motion. It is the field where all possibility rests. You breathe deeply. The air tastes new, crisp, unclaimed. Your chest fills with hope you did not realize you were missing. You understand that silence is not only memory, not only weight, not only protection. It is also the place where everything begins again. The spiral key pulses one final time, brighter than ever, and the circle of stones parts, revealing a path that leads deeper still. You walk slowly, savouring each step across the field of endless dawn, carrying with you its promise. As you pass through the far threshold, the light lingers on your skin, a reminder that silence is not merely the end of sound, but the birthplace of everything new. The path leaving the field of endless dawn narrows again, stone walls pressing close on either side. The glow of perpetual sunrise fades behind you, giving way to a dim twilight. The air smells faintly of oil and pigment, a fragrance of brushstrokes preserved in darkness. Soon the corridor opens into a long gallery. On each wall hang portraits, hundreds of them, stretching down the length of the chamber. At first glance, they appear ordinary. Faces of men and women, children and elders, painted in muted tones. But as you step closer, you notice a strange absence. None of the portraits bear mouths. Where lips should be, there is only smooth skin. The silence in the gallery is immense. The eyeless guardians, the vanished faces, the sleepless statues, all of those chambers carried weight. But here the silence feels different. It is not heavy. It is suffocating. The painted eyes follow you as you move, pleading without words, begging without sound. You stop before one painting. A woman with kind eyes, her gaze filled with warmth. Yet without a mouth, her kindness is forever trapped behind silence. You feel your chest tighten, as though her unspoken words press against your ribs. The spiral key warms in your palm. At once, the gallery stirs. The portraits begin to hum faintly, not with sound, but with vibration, like air trembling before thunder. Then whispers rise within your mind, voices without mouths, flooding silently into you. You hear them, words never spoken, stories never told, confessions cut short, truths sealed behind skin. Each portrait holds the silence of someone denied a voice, someone erased. The paintings are their prison, but also their preservation. You place your hand upon the frame of the woman's portrait. Instantly you feel her story rush into you. Laughter never heard, songs never sung, grief never shared. It sears into your chest, not with sound but with knowing. You bow your head, whispering aloud for her. In that moment, the painting shimmers faintly. A mouth appears for a heartbeat, soft and tender, before fading again. The whisper fills the gallery. Silence remembers every voice denied. To listen is to paint them new lips. You move slowly down the hall, touching frames, honouring each in turn. By the time you reach the end, your body feels heavy with voices, yet light with their release. The spiral key pulses brightly, and a hidden door opens in the far wall. You bow once to the breathless portraits. As you step through the door, you carry the lesson that silence preserves what the world denies, and that to honour it is to give voice to those who were never heard. The hidden door leads into a vast, circular space paved with broken paths. Stone walkways stretch outward from the centre, each leading a short distance before ending abruptly. Some stop at jagged cliffs. Others crumble into darkness. Still others simply dissolve into dust, incomplete. The silence here is not mournful, but restless. It hums with tension, like a sigh caught in a throat. You step onto one of the paths, walking until it ends at the edge of a chasm. You peer down, but the abyss below reveals nothing, only silence. You turn back, moving to another path. Again, it ends abruptly. Another ends sooner still. Everywhere you walk, journeys are cut short, choices not carried through, lives interrupted. Goals abandoned. Each path is a monument to incompletion. The spiral key glows faintly. At once, the chamber stirs. The broken paths shimmer with light, and visions rise before you. Travellers walking these ways centuries ago, pilgrims, seekers, wanderers, each one halted before their destination. Some turned back, some fell, some vanished. Their silence remains here, bound to these unfinished roads. Your chest aches as you feel their longing, their disappointment. Yet beneath it, something else stirs, a gentle hum of possibility. These journeys were not failures. They were pauses. The silence of incompletion is not an end, it is an opening. You kneel at the center of the chamber, pressing the spiral key to the ground. Immediately, the broken paths glow brighter, lines of light extending into the dark where stone once ended. For a moment, each road completes itself, reaching unseen destinations. You see faint figures walking forward at last, their silence transformed into motion. A whisper fills the space. What you leave unfinished does not vanish. Silence carries it forward, waiting for you or another to return. The light fades, the paths broken once more. But the truth remains within you. You rise slowly. A hidden doorway opens beyond the farthest crumbled path, its glow inviting. You walk toward it, your heart lighter. You carry the knowing that unfinished journeys are never wasted, that silence holds them until the path can be walked again.